Have you ever had a conversation, a daydream, a thought, a discussion with someone that just gets so deep that you wonder how you got there, and then you sort of working your way back through it, sort of see about why we're here. Is there any more about UFOs? There tends to be the tendency. Just about space, beyond, our purpose, that sort of thing. Well, a few months ago, a couple of friends and I went camping, and on one of the nights we went out walking along a big empty road, looking up at the sky. And there's nothing else around, so no light pollution of any sort. But the sky was just this massive field of like diamonds glistening. Just this massive open field, this blanket of this glistening stars with a few shooting stars going around like that. And we got talking about deep things, I guess. Space, what's out there, what's the blackness, what's all these planets hanging around in. They're just there. Space is apparently expanding, getting bigger. What's it expanding into? What's on the other side of space? Is it contained in something? Is it bigger? Or is it just beyond our brain capacity on Earth? Do we not understand? And my friend, we basically got onto the conversation of there must be a creator to all this. It's so big, it's so vast, it's almost so perfect. There must be a reason, there must be a designer. It's too elaborate. There's something like 700 quintillion stars, planets and stuff, but ours is so unique. We're the only planet we know in the observable space where we know there is life. We're so precise. Now, is that coincidence, or is that a meaningful thing? Now, that's what we're going to discover. So my friends, one loves science, one's not quite sure. Being a Christian, I believe that God created everything. Now, God was mentioned last week in Liz's talk, and we're going to learn more and more about God as the weeks go on. But I believe God created everything. I believe He put breath in our lungs, stars in the sky. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is quickly just tell you about a happening, something, basically a passage out of the Bible. Now this passage is out of Matthew 3, and it's called, the passage I'm about to read is called The Baptism of Jesus. First of all, what is baptism? You may have heard of people being baptised, may know people, may have been baptised, may have just heard the word floating around. Baptism. Now baptism tends to be a point in a Christian's life where they decide, yes, Christianity, this religion is for me. I'm ready to give myself fully to God. Now basically what happens then is usually the person is lowered back into a pool of water and then they come back out, thrusted back out forward. And what that is basically, I guess, what that is meant to be showing that person going down and leaving their old self behind, leaving maybe regrets, maybe past things they don't want to remember, or just their old selves, and then you come out afresh, this new person who's ready to go forward and just have this adventure with God. That's a little bit about baptism. John the Baptist, well, John is John, and he baptises people. But John, at an early age, was early in his life anyway, was called by God specifically. His calling was to go out and baptise people and give people this opportunity to go down, come up, and be this fresh, new person, purified, I guess, in Christianity. Galilee, Galilee is just a region in Israel, and the Jordan, a river nearby. So that's just a few little things here, there and everywhere you'll see come up in this Bible passage. So I'm just going to go through it now, just read it out loud. Now, the baptism of Jesus. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to be baptized by John. But John tried to deter him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? Jesus replied, let it be so now. It is proper for us to do this, to fulfill all righteousness. It's the right thing to do. Then John consented. He said yes. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, this is my Son, of whom I love. With him I am well pleased. So we know John the Baptist. We know what baptism is. But who is Jesus? Who is Jesus? Well, Jesus is God. Jesus is God in human form. Jesus had come to the earth and is basically God coming down and being in our same position. Now, a friend of mine at church in the evening the other day told me about this nice analogy, really, just to sort of explain that a little bit further. So imagine there's an ant's nest on the floor, and you see it, there's all the ants running around in it, and you want to have a conversation with them. You want to tell them how to live the best life possible. You don't just go up to it and live the best life possible. They won't understand you. But what if you could become an ant and go down to their level, go down to where they're at, what they're doing, and communicate what you want to them? This is what Jesus is doing. This is what God has done. He has sent a Son, whom is Jesus, down to us to communicate what God wants for us. Now in the passage we have Jesus come along, and John knows who Jesus is. John knows that Jesus is God. So when Jesus asks, John, can you baptize me? Can you give me this almost confirmation of my love? John's confused. He's thinking, if this is God, why does he need baptizing by me? Surely I should be being baptized by God or Jesus. He's confused. But the reason Jesus wants to be baptized, and as he says it here, let it be so now, it is proper for us to do this, to fulfill all righteousness, to fulfill what is right, to do what is right. Jesus is saying, I want to do what is right. I want to lead by example. I want to be as human as you are, because I am a human like you, and I am coming here and I want to show my love for God. And in essence, the most important thing he's doing is pleasing God by being baptized. And then after he's baptized, he rises from the water and heaven is open. Now can you imagine that, heaven being opened in this day and age? What would we do? We'd probably take a picture of it on our phone. Facebook, YouTube. We can't imagine it. It's just out of our comprehension right now. I don't think it's just absolutely astonishing. We can only imagine what it was like, heaven being opened, and the voices coming down. This is my Son whom I love, with him I am well pleased. Now this is God saying that Jesus is this perfect person. Jesus is this peaceful, this patient, this graceful, this just loving person that is here to set an example of how he wants us to live. How we can live the best lives for us, and how we can live the best life for what he has in store for us. Now, let's get to grips with this. Now, God coming down to earth. Jesus is God in human flesh. Now, God. Now, we could see, if Lord Alan Sugar came into the room, Lord Alan Sugar, business, empire, supreme deluxe, we'd be in awe. He's this powerful, mighty person on earth. We see him everywhere. He's got all this stuff everywhere. Now that's what he's got. But God, he's created everything. Everything. He's created you. He's created me. He's created outside. He's created the stars, the grass, the birds, everything. And then beyond that, what that video was showing, he's created everything there from our earth, which is, in comparison to everything else, so small. Yet there's so much bigger things. Now imagine meeting the person who created that, who created the moon, who created the earth. Imagine that. I don't know. It's put in perspective. If this is our earth, now that's amazing that God created that. That's absolutely astonishing. Everything on it, all of you, me, you, everyone. If we just dim the lights slightly, this is just a vision of everything else He's created and more. All of this, everything. So this is us, and this is everything else. But beyond what we can see right here, He's created more and more and more. Fantastic. Now God's coming down because He loves us in human flesh, so He can talk to us, so He can respond to us, so He can lead us in the way best fit to us. He hasn't come down as this massive, gigantic, staff-bearing person saying, you shall do this. He's come down as a human being. Just like you and me, having the same feelings, having the same thoughts, the same desires, the same emotion. He understands us wholeheartedly. So God absolutely loves you, loves you, everyone in this room loves me. And that's why He came down, to speak to us, to see us, to lead us. And His word was documented in what I'm holding in my hands right now. Now over the next few weeks we're going to be talking more and more about Jesus, about His story, about His life, about His teachings, about what He's told us. I just hope that you join me on the journey of listening to the leaders and just hearing this amazing story of what Jesus, this God who created everything, wants to tell us. And just during the week, if you want to think about Jesus, if He is God and He's created every single thing in the entire world that you know, what would you ask Him? If He knows your thoughts inside out, if He knows what you're feeling, what you're going to do tomorrow, what would you ask Him? Just think about that tonight, during the week, next club, whenever, but that would be awesome. And if you have any more questions, you can ask any of the leaders. You can ask myself after this. We'd love to talk to you about it more.